Hey everybody, it's Coach Matt O'Brien, and this is Magic Pill Mondays Live, and I cannot believe it's episode 20 already. And if you tune in live tonight, please put your name in the comments so I can say hi. I really want to show my appreciation for everybody that's tuning in. This is going to be a late night edition, and my hopes with that is to pull some of you out of the darkness at your homes and tear you away from the couch, at least your eyes and ears for a minute, because today we are going to talk about something that is a four-letter word in most people's minds, and it's actually two four-letter words: fast, as in fasting, and diet, as in, oh my God, hell to the no. But actually, today I really want to focus and explain to you the top 10 benefits, or at least some important considerations of why you should consider fasting as a protocol, as a part of an overall health and longevity plan. So, if you're tuning in live, let me know. Put your name in the comments. This is a mega cast, as always. Magic Pill Mondays live on multiple Facebook channels and YouTube. So the software I'm using, I can't see your name, but I would love to see who's here. I see 4 people. So I see Gabby's on. And tonight, we're kind of tuning up for tomorrow's Fasting Made Simple challenge that we're doing in our Facebook group, Triumph Nation. So some of you may be watching here in Triumph Nation, but I'm also streaming on my personal profile and Triumph Fitness and Nutrition. So if you're here, throw your name. What's up, Ellen? And I will give you a shout out to let you know I see your name in the comments. So today we're talking all things fasting. There's multiple ways to fast, many different ways. And specifically, you may have heard of intermittent fasting. Now the tide's kind of switching and we're calling it time restricted feeding. Basically eating in a window and not eating in a window every 24 hours. So we're not talking about that tonight. I've talked a lot about that in the past. Then there is water-only fasting, and that's what the purists would say or consider is fasting. You could also throw in religious fasting. Fasting's been around for millennia, and so it's nothing new. But today we're going to kind of talk about what I call fasting made simple, a protocol that I've kind of come up with based on a multitude of sources. First and foremost, we got to go to the Longevity Diet by Walter Longo. This cat is the world's leading researcher on fasting and longevity, and both in mice and humans and other animals and monkeys, primates, all the above. If he's done a fasting study, it's probably mentioned in this book, but he's the one that kind of came up with this fasting mimicking diet, or at least proved in science that can have a lot of the benefits of a water only fast that the purists would say is the only way to fast. I'm here to say that's bullshit. Pardon the French. Another good resource if you want to get into fasting is Fast This Way by Dave Asprey. You can see in the subtitle there, burn fat, heal inflammation, and eat like the high-performing human you were meant to be. That's some of the benefits. But I'm going to give you a top 10 list. I'm going to date myself. And if you're tuning in and watching live right now, I'm saying right now, it is 8:09 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Put your name in the comments so I could say hi. But some of you may remember David Letterman from, I don't even know what network. I think it was NBC after the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson and then Jay Leno. And then whoever came after Jay Leno. Maybe some of y'all could put that in the comments because I stopped watching after that a long time ago. But David Letterman hailed from my hometown in New York City, and he always used to do his top 10 list. I will not attempt to be as funny as him, but I'll try to inject some humor and personality into the top 10. But these are top 10 benefits of fasting or important considerations of why you should incorporate some type of fasting protocol into your health and longevity routine. And if you make it through this top 10, I'm going to share with you my fasting. That's not it. That's a party for my son. This is it. I want to share with you my fasting protocol called Fasting Made Simple. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3, 4. Easy out the door. So I'm going to pull up the top 10 list so you can see, for those of you tuning in, these are what we're going to go through, top 10 benefits of fasting. Number 1, and this is near and dear to a lot of people's hearts, and that's weight loss. Fasting can obviously lead to reduced calories, promoting weight loss and improving overall body composition. Now, that's kind of obvious, but where fasting is not so obvious is that some people, and these people have studied or have plateaued or just not been able to be compliant on most 4-letter diets. So what's been found in research and in case studies is that a fasting protocol, even this fasting mimicking, so fasting mimicking, fasting made simple, you get to eat. I'm just going to reveal the secret. So you're not starving yourself. But what they found is that in addition to all the benefits I'm going to go through, it kind of did this reboot for people's metabolism. And the reason is kind of some of these benefits is by restoring gut health and reducing gut inflammation and increasing insulin sensitivity, you kind of like turn the body switches back on to remember how to burn fat, which it may have forgotten. So that's probably the number 1 benefit that most people might find the most interesting. So that's number 1. Number 2, which I kind of just teased you with, is improving insulin sensitivity. If you don't know what insulin is, it is the hormone made in the pancreas that transports nutrients, most of which is glucose, into your cells. Without insulin, you would die. And that's why type 1 diabetics who can't make their own insulin have to inject it. This is an important thing to understand because 88% of Americans are on the metabolic dysfunction spectrum. And what does that mean? It means at some level, they are losing metabolic function. And metabolic function or metabolic flexibility, whatever you want to call it, is the ability to use fat for fuel, glucose for fuel, and ATP for fuel. Those are our 3 fuel sources. We are designed as hybrid engines that can burn all 3 of those fuel sources. Most of the time, you're doing all 3, and the demands of your activity will determine which one is prioritized. But unfortunately, with the standard American diet, appropriately called SAD, S-A-D, we lose the ability for insulin to signal the receptors in the cells, and basically insulin's knocking and the cells are like, screw you, dude. You're not coming in. And you have to make more and more insulin. And then eventually you get type 2 diabetes where you're still making insulin, but won't help get glucose into the cell. So that's a benefit. When you fast, you improve insulin sensitivity or turn it back on. And that's one of the reasons why fasting can accelerate weight loss and, more importantly, fat loss, because insulin is a fat trapper. And if you don't have insulin sensitivity, you're basically trapping your fat for life. So number 3, let's get to number 3. And this is important, cellular repair. And I like to use an analogy like I grew up in high school and worked after the military in Manhattan. I see Christina Marie is on. Christina Marie. I have 2. One's our coach and one is our client. Both go by Christina Marie on Facebook, but I know this is Christina, our client. What's up? And if you're joining me, put your name in the comments. I want to say hi. Melissa, good evening. What's up? Everybody that puts their name tonight is getting a shout out. And Ida, you guys are so reliable, and I appreciate it. So I don't have to talk to myself. I get to talk to people. But we're working through our top 10 benefits of fasting, and we're on cellular repair. I worked in New York City, and I went to high school in New York City. and it is especially Manhattan. If you can visualize Manhattan, that's kind of like all those buildings and all the trash they generate, all those skyscrapers, lots of trash, lots of people in Manhattan during the day. It can surge up to like 12 million people in a 3 mile by 7 mile island. That's a lot of density. So just imagine all the trash that is generated in that environment. So cellular repair is like the garbage men that come in the wee hours of the morning and remove all that garbage. And they have gone on strike, the garbage union in New York, that trash piles up very quickly. So over time, cellular waste starts accumulating. And if you don't give your body the opportunity or optimize the body's opportunity to deal with it, it's going to build up and accumulate, and that's going to lead to inflammation and also wreak havoc in your body. So this is something you don't want to happen. So what's cool about fasting, this process called autophagy, which is like the garbage men coming in, collecting the trash, happens and is amplified. So that's a big one that I talk about. And this is a way you can do it without, again, starving yourself. So that's number 3. Number 4, I want to go through these a little bit faster. Reducing inflammation. And inflammation is, along with high insulin, are the two snake eyes, I call them, that cause aging and most of the diseases of America and our Western standard American diet, that when other people adopt it, it's called the rule of 20. 20 years later, they start getting all the bull crap that we have to deal with in our country. Thank you very much. Here's a gift, our standard American diet, and you too will suffer the health and diseases that come with it, the health consequences. But reducing that inflammation, fasting's probably the fastest and no-brainer way, no ifs, ands, or buts way to get rid of inflammation in the body. And that's why those of you that are doing our 3-day protocol, you're going to feel way better by day 3. I promise you. When Holly and I went on vacation, Cookie Monster here went a little out of control because somebody in my family decided to give all of us a 4-gallon bag, a Ziploc bag of homemade cookies of a variety of sources. And let's just say homeboy here does not have the willpower to say no when there's a bunch of cookies standing in front of me. And Holly, her triggers are not the cookies so much as things that come in bottles and are very dark red. And they're made with grapes. That's called wine. And so between the two of us, we were very inflamed. And we decided to do the Fasting Made Simple protocol that we're launching tomorrow in our challenge group. And by day 3, she was looking amazing, by the way, but she felt great. I felt amazing by day 2. And by day 3, we were both like, we could keep doing this. And the only reason we ended up doing day 4 and the only reason we didn't do day 5 is because we had our member of the month from Triumph coming over for dinner, and we didn't want to serve poor man soup to them. So we broke it, but it was very simple to follow. So I see Holly is on, and I didn't say the word wine, but you are correct. I was trying to now her mouth's watering. That's why I didn't say the word wine or describe it very eloquently, because I was worried she would be watching. But as she's saying in the comments that I can read, I don't know if you can read them, she felt amazing, I felt amazing. And that's really what's the incentive to do it. So if you've been feeling crappy, your gut is just not happy, you got gas, you got diarrhea, this protocol, not making promises, but for most people is going to clear that up and you're going to feel great. So that's number 4. Let's get on to number 5. And that is enhanced brain function. One of the things I need as much of as I can get, probably need a little bit more right now. But this is one of the reasons I fast on a regular basis and do intermittent fasting with brain enhancing ketones. And that's part of my Fasting Made Simple protocol. If you follow it to the T, is you're going to get some C8 MCT oil fat to go with your morning coffee or tea. Again, if you follow the protocol to the T, pun intended, you will get some of those brain boosting ketones. But fasting by itself also enhances brain function. And the reason is glucose, which is one of the fuel sources for the brain, burns like coal. It's not very efficient and it burns with a lot of black metabolic waste. And that can kind of cloud up the brain. Whereas ketones, when you fast, your body naturally produces ketones starting on day 3 and beyond. And this is why I'm putting in the C8 MCT oil for anybody that cares to understand why it's in there, is because that will give you what's called exogenous ketones from outside the body, giving you some of those benefits from day 1 on. And then by day 3, your body's making your own. And then now you're in this ketone party and you feel amazing. And your gut's healed. The gut is a single cell layer and it has a very fast ability to heal if you give it the opportunity. So consider it a vacation for your gut, and your gut will thank you, and it will quickly heal by day 2, day 3, and largely, like I said, I can't overpromise here, a lot of those GI issues will clear up. So that's an important consideration to go along with the brain function. Number 6, and that was a bonus one, by the way. That was, call that one number 11. Number 6, lower blood pressure. Blood pressure in America, high blood pressure is probably the most treated condition that I see as a functional health coach as far as who's on medications for high blood pressure. That's probably bar none, more than statins, the most common medication. And fasting can lower your blood pressure. I know on a fasting day and a sauna, if I combine those two, my blood pressure is 20 points lower than my normal reading. So if you're dealing with blood pressure issues, that is a super awesome benefit for fasting and reason why you should consider it. Number 7, improved heart health. So cardiovascular disease, number 1 killer of Americans, over 650,000 people per year, just above cancer, which is number 2. So heart, unlike cancer, is very preventable, and we know the secrets of how to prevent it. So it's just either ignorance or wanton disobedience with what you know, or refusing to accept the wisdom and impart it in your life. But cardiovascular disease should be a thing of the past with what we know now and the tools that we have. Fasting is one way, as part of an overall health and longevity protocol, to improve your heart health. It's going to reduce your LDL. And I just did an experiment. I did that 3-day fasting protocol before a blood draw to see how much it affected my LDL numbers. So once I have those in front of me, I know it's going to lower my triglycerides, which are usually low anyway. So I'll be curious to see what happens. So number 8, we're moving along, boosted immune function. So this is really cool that when you fast, you produce more immune cells, and I won't get into all of them. But actually, when I was in 8th grade, quick story, from 6th grade, 7th, and 8th, I participated in the national science contest or whatever it was called. It started with local schools, then you had regional, and then you had state. I did make it to state one year, but one year I did it on immune function. It was, my project was called White Blood Cell Friend or Foe. And this gets into autoimmune conditions where our immune system is designed to help us. But as COVID taught us that people with poor immune function, it can go haywire. Like that's what happened with people with comorbidities in a large sense. Their immune system went overboard, and it ended up causing lots of problems and all why they need to be on ventilators. All this fluid was flowing into their lungs. They couldn't breathe. So fasting is one way to boost immune function. And the other best way is moving your ass with some exercise. That's my Exercise is the Magic Pill book behind me. And I'm always going to mention that I made that promise a couple weeks ago. And there you go. I just did it. and I will continue to do it. Number 9, and this is the reason primarily I fast periodically, and that's increasing longevity. And animal studies, mouse studies, rhesus monkey studies have shown, even with the fasting mimicking protocol that we're going to be doing in our group in Triumph Nation, extended life as much as 27% in mice. And if we equated that to humans, that would be like an extra 25 years. But that's not really accurate to equate mice with humans. But it did have a significant effect. It also had an effect in rhesus monkeys and extending their life pretty significantly. So, and they're pretty close to us genetically because they're primates, and we're in that same class. If you remember, you're ordering in, I don't even remember what class, biology, KPC of GS. I don't know why I remember that. Kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species, KPC of GS. That's how I remembered it, and I still remember it with those little acronyms. But anyway, so that primates are close to us genetically, and it worked for them. So we can logically conclude that it should work for us too. So that's one of the reasons I do it. And it does that for all the reasons I mentioned. Plus, it slows down aging, like aging process in our body. And so that's number 9. And number 10, for a lot of people, this one's going to be exciting: mental and emotional well-being. Now, you would think fasting would be the exact opposite. And you're like going to be a miserable, angry, hangry human being. And for some, that may be true the first day or two as you adjust. But this is why I like this Fasting Made Simple protocol, because you get to eat enough to control the anger pains of normal fasting. And if you do the bulletproof coffee protocol or some iteration of it, I'm perfecting what I'm going to be calling magic coffee, coming soon to a theater near you, which will be my version of bulletproof coffee on protein steroids, we'll call it. It's because protein forward is really the smart way to go as far as nutritional. And anyway, I'm not going to get off on a tangent, but mental and emotional well-being, that's where fasting can help you improve your mood, reduce stress. I think it also boosts your confidence and self-esteem because you got through something. So many times we set out to do something and we throw in the towel, and then what do? We beat up ourselves like with 2 baseball bats. We're so good at beating ourselves up, and we're so typically more typically patient and forgiving with others than we are with ourselves. So part of going through this or any other protocol or any other challenge in life proves to yourself that you can accomplish something. And when you can accomplish something, you can accomplish other things. And it's kind of that domino effect. So I feel like in addition to improving your mood, reducing stress, if you were pain is such mental health suck. I don't know another word. I'm at a loss for words. But when you're in pain, you're not in a good mood. And I don't know how to use words to say that. But when you're in pain, it's not a good thing. So if you're dealing with like GI pain or joint pain from inflammation, remember it helps with inflammation. A lot of our joint pain is caused by inflammation. And that's from crap that we're putting in our bodies from the standard American diet. And if you want a quick digression, primarily it's refined carbohydrates like sugar and flour. And the FDA just released an analysis that the number 1 food group in America now, and they have a funny name for it, but it's basically the combination of refined flour and refined sugar. Think donuts, cookies, cake, crackers, pastries, chocolate croissants, on and on and on. That's America's number 1 food group now. And that's why everybody's inflamed and is diabetic and is in lots of pain. So doing this protocol, not going to cure everything, certainly not in 3 days, but it could prove to yourself that A, you can do something, and B, if you do reduce pain, hopefully you'll remember that and make a mental note and say, wow, I can choose whether I want to be in pain or choose not to be in pain. And so one of the takeaways, I hope most people are going to gain that information by experience by going through it. So one of the stories I want to share for some of you, this may be transformational, that this 5-day fasting mimicking protocol that I mentioned, he calls it the fasting mimicking diet. We don't like to use the word diet, A, because it's a 4-letter word and most people don't like it. And it has the word die in it, D-I-E. So we call it the fasting mimicking protocol. And now I call it the fasting made simple protocol. You actually, like I said, get to eat. You're going to eat fat and protein and fibrous carbohydrates. So vegetables, no of those inflammatory sugars and starches. So you're going to feel great. But the doctor I follow that I talk a lot about, Peter Attia, wrote the book Outlive, has been largely the most credible practicing physician in the United States. And, most consider him the best resource because he's practicing, he has a patient base. And so from their information, he had a client that was in his mid-60s, the classic case of metabolic dysfunction. All his blood work was horrendous, cholesterol, blood pressure, diabetes, all the things, all cause mortality risk off the charts. And tried him on keto, tried him on other diets, and he just couldn't sustain them. So what they came up with was doing this 5-day fasting mimicking protocol where he would eat essentially the same thing that's in my fasting made simple protocol. But his lunch was a salad, mixed greens with a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of avocado. And I think that was fundamentally the only difference. But in that 600 to 750 calorie range. And he would do that for 5 days out of every month. And the rest of the month, he could do whatever he wanted. And lo and behold, after 18 months, a year and a half, he lost 67 pounds and regained his health in all the things that you can measure and was in a lot less pain. So what his case points out, and I think this happens for a lot of people once you go through a fast and realize you can do it. What's up, Eric? I see you joined us. And if you do have any questions, I'll have some Q&A time here in about 2 minutes. So you can start putting those questions in the comments. And if Holly's still on, hopefully she'll make sure I don't miss any. But I'll get to those. But what I was saying with this client or patient of Dr. Attia is that, and since he mentioned him in the book, his book, I can mention him. His name's Tom Dayspring. He's actually one of the most knowledgeable people in the world on blood lipids. This is where I got the ApoB testing that we do with my clients and how to interpret the results and how that equates to all-cause mortality. So he has all the knowledge, but this is where wisdom gets tricky. It's applied knowledge that's wisdom. You can know all the right things, but if you don't apply that information or use it, then it's pretty much useless other than you having the knowledge. And you can tell somebody that you have the knowledge or share it with them. But if you're not using it, really, what good is it? So what I believe happened with Tom is that by doing this fasting mimic protocol, knowing he wasn't restricted on the other 25 days, he embarked on the first round. But by going through it, he was like, after day 3, for the first time in his life, he wasn't experiencing that standard American diet hunger. So he was able to control his appetite. And I think that had a domino effect on the other 25 days when he realized he was in control of his hunger and he could make smarter food choices, because when you clean this out and then you go back and eat something that's inflammatory to you, and you're going to feel it that first time you have it. It's going to punch you in the gut. It's going to punch you in the mouth. It's going to punch you in the head. And you're going to say, hopefully, if you're paying attention, you're going to say, holy shoot, that wasn't very good for me because my body did not like it. And that becomes your normal if you don't really realize it and you're eating these things all the time and you just think it's getting old or some other thing you're going to blame it on. So I am super excited once you clear the deck, and this is the easiest way to do it, this protocol. My wife wouldn't mind me sharing that, like she, like genetically, is hyperinsulinic. Insulinemic. It's hard to say. She makes insulin at somebody says food, her body releases insulin. When she exercises, she has a tendency to go low blood sugar. So for her, even intermittent fasting was a challenge, but over time we worked through that. But the point of telling you all that background information, that she got through this fasting protocol with flying colors. And like I said earlier, if you're just now joining us, we could have went 5 days, no problem. Like she was wanting to do it. And because we had to entertain some people and we didn't want to serve them our poor man's soup recipe, this is why we broke the fast. But for most of you, I hope you experienced that. If you're in our Triumph Nation group, if you're watching this, you have no idea what I'm talking about. We have a free Facebook group called Triumph Nation. It's health and happiness for purpose-driven, time-starved people that want longer time and better health to leave a legacy. But you can join that group. It's free, and jump into Guide 8. We'll be checking the group. Request to join. We'll try to get you in tonight if you want to join us for our challenge that starts tomorrow. But those of you that are in Triumph Nation, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, go to Guide 8. You may have just stumbled into the group for the first time in a while. We've been promoting this, and shout out to my wife, Holly, who's been working tirelessly around the clock to put this together and connect with all the people that raised their hands. Last count, we had 41 people. That's a lot of DMs. She actually got shut down on Facebook for a little bit for messaging too many people. But we're doing what we can to promote health and wellness. And this is a great and easy way to get all those 10 benefits that you can see on the screen. So some questions, we'll go into some Q&A since we have some time for that. And I saw one earlier. I'm going to try to scroll up on my comments. And I believe it was from Eric, and it's how often should I fast and how many days at a time? Depends on what your goal is. That's a multifaceted question. And what type of fasting? Water only, fasting mimicking, intermittent fasting. You can intermittent fast every day, but the tide is turning, and this is where my protein forward versus intermittent fasting, protein forward, I think, is going to win the day. And because the number one proven thing we can do for functional health span is strength and muscle mass, and number two is VO2 max or cardiorespiratory fitness, more so like 4 times more significant than whether you smoke or not. That's how strong of a longevity effect that exercise has on versus smoking for all-cause mortality. 4 times stronger effect than quitting smoking if you start exercising, if you're not. So get moving, America, and that's why we call Triumph Nation Join the Movement. And the movement is to get Americans moving and fasting in this case. So let me see. Hopefully that answers. I didn't really answer the question because I need more information. But I will say for some really crazy, incurable health conditions, if there is a documentary called Fasting, and I don't know if it's still on Netflix or not, but they go through a deep dive into fasting. And I just remember one of my takeaways was this place called North Point Wellness in, I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe it's in Arizona. But they do medically supervised fasting out to 40, 50, 60, 70 days. And they've cured some incurable conditions. So when you fast, the body goes into this hyper healing state. And the longer you go, the more stem cells are released and your body starts fixing itself and getting rid of bad things. So that's something that is an additional benefit of fasting, but that's more on the extreme side of water only. In that facility, they monitor electrolytes, vital signs. Again, it's medically supervised. But that documentary profiled like 5 people that had these insane, incurable, debilitating, painful conditions that modern medicine and trips all over the world couldn't fix, and fasting did. So fasting is really cool. We're going to make it cool with Fasting Made Simple and prove to as many people that participate that it's not such a scary thing after all. And you're not going to be hangry, assuming you follow the protocol. I'm going to keep saying that because there's going to be people that don't follow the protocol. They're going to wing it. They're going to just say, okay, I'm going to start tomorrow and fast and drink water, and they're going to be miserable. That's not the idea with this Fasting Made Simple protocol. So if you're in Triumph Nation, this is the Fasting Made Simple protocol that we put together. It's a 4-step, easy 1, 2, 3, 4 protocol. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3, literally. And that includes the recipes that you need to be successful. And it's about $25 worth of ingredients, or you can order his $170 kit of pre-made things and packages that you reconstitute with water. But I prefer to do it with things you can buy at the grocery store and have fun doing it. So what other questions? Melissa, it's called fasting appropriately. That's it. Fasting. Fasting. It was on Netflix. It may not be there anymore, but you can probably pay for it somewhere. Let's see. And I see Christina got her doc appointment with get those blood tests. Let me know if you have any problems. I know some Italians. I can send my boy Vini and Guido to talk to your doctor, make a little statement or two, twist his arm a bit, if you know what I'm talking about. Hopefully your doctor complies so I don't have to make that phone call. But what else do we got? I see Melissa put the group link right there. Thank you. That's awesome when your team helps you out. Your clients help you out. And Holly, you wrote 47. What does that mean? No idea. Because Holly's not 47. But she does turn 40 this year. And I'm turning 55 this month. And for those, if you're a Triumph member, I sent out my last call for Triumph 55 for my one-on-one coaching. So if you're in YOLO or you're a Triumph Fitness client or you're a personal training client, I did a consult with one of them today, and she bought a 6-month program. This is just going to augment what we're doing in YOLO or the group fitness or in personal training to support your goals. So just giving that as a gift for my 55th birthday. Got some more coming, but this one's the last call for that one. If you're a Triumph Fitness member, not Triumph Nation, Triumph Fitness participating member. But we'll have something for Triumph Nation coming soon. Somebody's asking, is chicken or beef bone broth better to use? They're both great, but the emphasis is bone broth. So you get some of the collagen, some of the protein that comes with bone broth versus stock, chicken stock, beef stock. If you look at the label, it has 0 or trace amount of protein, whereas bone broth has a pretty decent amount of protein per serving, 11 to 16 grams, depending on the brand. So I would say either is fine. Depends on, what you're making. But if I'm using chicken as my beef source or my protein source in my poor man soup, we use beef stock or beef bone broth and chicken as the protein. And then we made another one that we made with some grass-fed sirloin that we cubed up, and we use vegetable stock and chicken stock or bone broth. I keep saying what I'm not supposed to say. Chicken bone broth with the beef protein. So there's no wrong way to do it. It could be an individual preference if you don't like the taste of either or. do what you like, do what you love. And like Holly's saying, different flavors. Christina, the 55 program is not the same as YOLO. It's just hand holding through the process. So we meet every 2 weeks, and that's something you're interested in. Again, 6 week, 90-day, or 3 month and 6 month hand holding to achieve a goal and make sure you stay on track. If you're in YOLO, I'm going to make sure you're doing the right things. So basically, hopefully accelerate your results and save you some time. Thank you, Katie, for the awesomeness. And any other questions? This is fun. I like doing Q&A. We have to make that part of the tradition here. But those of you tuning in, just excited. If you're in Triumph Nation and you're still unaware, still want to consider doing the Fasting Made Simple protocol, just go to Guide 8. If you don't know how to do that, if you're unfamiliar with the guides, if you're on your computer, it should be a tab under the Triumph Nation picture at the top. If you're on your phone, it might be the 3-bar menu in the Triumph Nation group, or depending on what phone you have and what update on Facebook you have, it may also be a tab that says guides. Click on that, and then the guides are there. You want to go to Guide 8. So we put out some information. The fasting protocol is there. The recipes is there. So try to make it as simple and straightforward as possible. Give you the tools. Do not overcomplicate it. So do not. What did I miss? You missed one by Melissa. Oh, missed a question. Let's see. Thank you. I saw that one. What's the Netflix documentary? I answered that question. Did I miss a different one? Let's see. You mentioned from a previous live video that sleep may be affected after a fasting. I just finished week 1 of IF28. My question is, do allergies a side effect of fasting as well? Do allergies a side effect of fasting? Are you asking if fasting will trigger the allergies? Not exactly sure the question. I will do my best to take both sides of that possible question. So question 1 could be, would fasting trigger allergies? And the answer would be fasting should dramatically reduce allergies as long as you're not putting something you have an allergic response to in your poor man's soup, or you're not allergic to feeling amazing. But the other way to answer or ask that question, sleep may be affected after fasting. What Melissa was referring to is when you start metabolizing fat, I assume this is what she was talking about. I was mentioning how fat-soluble molecules that are stored in that fat that got locked and trapped in there, as you start metabolizing that fat and burning fat for fuel, those molecules get released into circulation. And those molecules could be toxins, they could be caffeine, they could be cocaine, they could be THC, they could be lots of fun things that we may have done in the past or may not have done. So as those molecules get released in circulation that were previously trapped potentially in a fat cell, then you may experience the ramifications or the effect of those molecules. So fasting mimicking will reduce inflammation. It will tap into your fat stores, so that is a possibility. So maybe that might be one of the questions you're asking. But if you're on still, Melissa, you can clarify the question and I'll answer it. So I'm scrolling down. Developing allergies. You're developing allergies. So my question is, developing allergies a side effect of fasting? I wouldn't say you would develop allergies. You would potentially fix your allergies. And that was like that North Point Medical Center I was talking about in the documentary. A lot of people help fix allergies. So if you know what you're allergic to, like I know with food allergies, like nuts, you can do there's a documentary on that, and I'm going to forget the name, but it was like a 12-part series, and one of them was on the anaphylactic response to common fatal allergies with food. But that was also on Netflix. But no, fasting should help improve the body and be less allergic to things because you're ramping up. You're not stressing the body with so many things to do. Can I do this fasting of my job had me on the road? Yes, you can. Just use your noggin. The morning protocol, you do that before you leave. And if you can't, that means you didn't wake up early enough. So set your alarm. Do it. I make coffee every single morning for my wife and I, whether I'm at the gym at 6, 7, or 8. You just set your alarm in time. So that deals with the first. You could do your protein shake. You can take that with you or buy one on the road. Then you could hit your bone broth when you get back to your desk or home, and then your poor man's soup at night. So it's very road friendly because you're not sitting down to eat anything. And 2 of the things are liquid that you can take on the road with you. You just have to do a little planning. Workout question. I had this on my live Q&A this morning. What I would advise is that you don't want to overstress the body. You want the body to heal by reducing the amount of stress we're putting into our mouth and our digestive systems, so the body can heal and clean up metabolic waste. So I'm a workout junkie. That's my healthy addiction. So my compromise is lower intensity, lower weights, lower volume, slow it down, back it down, watch your heart rate, and just train a mild, light workout. You can do more than going through the motions, but if you're doing a relatively intense workout like a Triumph, you can just select lighter weights, go slower, not try to break any world records at the gym. But otherwise, I would say casual movement, still moving your body, light activity, like paddleboarding, I'm just using as an example, walking, cycling, and just for the record, e-bikes don't count as bicycling. Getting tired of hearing the whine of electric bikes go past us on Pinellas Trail where we live. It's like no. That's not what bicycling is. It's pedaling the bike. But hopefully that answers your question, Gabby. And anybody else? Since we're still consuming calories, but you're not consuming enough protein. So if you're breaking down too much protein from training, then you're increasing the demands on the body that we're trying to let it clean out the garbage that we already have. So if you work out too hard, you're going to produce more garbage, and the body might not get to the garbage we're trying to clean out. So hopefully that makes sense. Melissa, follow the instructions as is. Do a protein shake. No whole food smoothies. We're avoiding any carbohydrates other than plant-based fiber. So vegetables, fibrous vegetables in the poor man's soup would be the only allowed carbohydrates. The whole food smoothie has carbs from fruit. No fruit. So no whole food smoothie. Sorry. That was an easy question. And yeah, Christina, not eating enough protein. Well, you're certainly not going to hit your protein targets on this fast, but protein fasting is good. So after this fasting protocol, I would say use this as a launch point to get into a really good whole foods based diet, whether you're doing My Nutrition Made Simple protocol or some of you I have doing 28 and 28 in a protein forward way. This is a really good opportunity to reset, reboot, and reignite your body's ability to burn fat. So you may experience better results and use this as a strategy to really create some structure, if you don't, in what you're doing with your overall nutrition program. So any more questions? I want to keep everybody up because sleep is important too. I want to make sure we get our sleep. Ida, how many days can we do just drinking water? Ida, we're not doing a water fast. We'll save that for another day. I'm not a fan of water only fasting because A, it's not realistic for most people. If you want to do it, the rule is like 3 days max without medical supervision. Obviously, so that puts it outside my scope of practice. And you can get 85% of the benefits following this protocol for 5 days. So I would steer you in that direction over water only. So I just saw that question from Ida. I almost missed it. Scrolling back, making sure I got everybody going once. You're forgetting, hey, Melissa, just forget all what you learned about the other stuff. Just follow the protocol in Guide 8 exactly as it is. Don't worry about counting protein grams. The only thing I said was 12 ounces of protein source in the poor man's soup for 3 servings. So you're going to be lower protein for these days. That's your body's going to clean house. That's why we're doing this. So this is what I mean. Don't overcomplicate it. I'm not picking on you, Melissa, but just do it. It's simple. It's right there. Just follow it as is. Don't try to confuse it or complicate it. Just bulletproof coffee, cup of bone broth, a protein shake, 30 grams protein in water, low carb. If you want to buy an RTD, that's cool. Water, you want to put some lemon in it, and then the poor man's soup. Or you can get a really high quality broth-based vegetable soup and throw some 12 ounces of protein in it if you don't want to make the poor man's soup. But it's really easy to make, and you got your dinner for 3 days or 5 days if you want to make a little bit more. So there you go. Okie dokie. All right, those are your marching orders. And anybody else that's paying attention. So other than that, thank you for everybody. Thank you for all the questions. And Melissa, I see plant-based is okay. Yes. Don't worry about the 30 grams of protein. But if you do whey-based, unless you have something against whey or some extreme allergy, and some people do, most of the time that's to either a lactose in milk or a cheaper milk-based protein. If you buy a high-quality whey protein isolate, that's 100% whey isolate, like Dimetized ISO 100 is one brand off the top of my head. Usually the allergens are gone, but albumin is another common allergen that's in some plant-based proteins. Or not plant-based, sorry, animal-based proteins. So that's another potential allergen for some people. But plant-based is fine. Just know your body, you're in control, and get after it. So with that, I'll say good night. And this has been a fun 20th episode of Magic Pill Mondays Live, and it's been on fasting. I'm Coach Matt O'Brien, health and longevity coach here at Triumph Fitness and Nutrition in Largo, Florida. And if you're looking for a coach that can help you optimize your health, optimize your life, and find happiness, I would love to be your coach. You can find me at triumphfitness.com. I spell Triumph with a Y because the Y in Triumph is you. Stay strong, my friends. Till next week, we'll do this again. Magic Pill Monday. I'm going to continue next week, promise, my third piece of my 3-part series on hormones. We talk about women's hormones next week. So stay tuned on that, and we'll see you then. We love you guys, and let's get fasting. See you tomorrow, anybody that is. Ciao for now. Peace.